everybody, welcome to another episode of What a Hell of a Way to Dad. We're swapping it up. We're changing things. We're dad chats now. All dad chat all the time. Nate, how are you doing today, man?
Doing well. I had a busy weekend because I was in the Netherlands for the Lions live show that we did in The Hague.
Yeah, how'd that go?
It went really well. I mean, I have some interesting stories, but because of the whole CrowdStrike thing where the CrowdStrike software pushed an update that basically blue screened a number of...
Literally broke the internet. There's always the, oh, look, Kim Kardashian's ass broke the internet, but Kim Kardashian's ass is not CrowdStrike.
So I thought CrowdStrike was kind of like enterprise level antivirus software, but apparently it's much more than that. It also uses things like controls, to make it so that employees can't use, for example, USB ports or install software. It's kind of like a systems management suite, as I understand it. And that's probably an oversimplification. Mm-hmm. But what I do know is, from having built computers a lot, irrelevant to our Ask a Dad last week, is that when something causes your computer to blue screen every time it starts up, Windows machines doing this, basically big blue screen saying like critical error and the machine has to be restarted. The problem is you cannot go into recovery mode or BIOS or whatever you need to remotely. It's just simply not possible. That's not how it works.
Yeah, that's just not how it works. No.
And so lots and lots of companies that use lots and lots of Windows machines are going to have them remote located. And every single one of these machines, as I understand it, the fix is pretty simple in terms of IT stuff. It's more or less going in recovery mode, booting, going into the CrowdStrike folder to whatever folder they tell you to, and I think either deleting a file or changing a file name, and that causes it so it can load, everything works okay. That's the summarized version that I heard. Problem is that some businesses are going to have tens of thousands of machines.
Yeah, like mine.
And every single one of them is going to have this done manually. Someone's going to have to go in, most likely hook up a display, hook up a physical mouse and keyboard, and do this. So, problems. The reason this is relevant is because it caused absolute pandemonium with airlines, and a number of airlines were unable to, for example, do their automated systems for passport checking or boarding pass generation. In the UK, there were people who were having to basically get handwritten boarding cards, and people were having to walk up their luggage to the plane with handwritten bag tags and hand them off that way, like it was the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, it's like this is 1970s. It should have let you smoke on the plane too. If we're gonna throw back this far.
Well, I will say Rotterdam Airport has, even once you're in the secure area and past passport control, it has outdoor screened terraces where you can smoke.
European airports are so cool. Like,
I mean, Rotterdam's kind of a shitty airport, I'm not going to lie. Like,
yeah, but you can smoke.
But you can smoke there.
That's the important... Like, I don't smoke anymore. I'm glad I don't smoke, but I understand the urge, the necessity of I have to be incarcerated on an airplane for multiple hours. I really need a cigarette kind of situation. And, Europeans who live longer than Americans and smoke way more than us. So you guys have something going on over there.
Well, in our case, our flight got canceled on Sunday night. So we had to stay at an airport hotel next to the Rotterdam airport. And because Joe and Ani's place is not big enough for two people. Mm-hmm. And British Airways was like, yeah, you can submit a claim for accommodation, but you have to share a room. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to submit the claim, but I'm not.
Wait, share a room with who?
Tom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no.
I was like, no. We're getting separate rooms. I mean, the rooms weren't expensive. It were like 60 euros each for a night. So yeah, but it was fine.
You hit a certain age. Like, I'm kind of the same way. Like, when my wife and I talk about traveling and somebody's like, oh, you can come stay with me. I'm not doing that. Like, I appreciate the offers to come stay in your home, but I need my own space when I travel. Maybe if it's just me, like, I'd come couch surf on your couch if it was just me, but
yeah, I would say also, though, it's like, I think having a hotel, having a bathroom, having privacy, having a place to go back to, having your own key, so if you have a different schedule, you don't have to wait on your hosts to let you in. Mm-hmm. That makes life so much easier. So I actually wasn't planning on staying in a hotel because I wasn't sure in case there were like baby emergencies if I had to hustle out, but Tom just booked me and him each our room in The Hague, and it was actually great. So, I had a good time.
Finally, you and Joe both in The Hague, where you belong.
Yeah, exactly.
Booking a room in The Hague.
Well, the funny thing was it was really hot, and part of the job of going down a little early was setting up Joe's studio, so installing some of the soundproofing stuff, specifically the ceiling panels. And so we had to get stuff from, an online order from a hardware store, and then, drill into the ceiling and install the anchors and install the panels. And the ceiling is so high in that room that the brackets they gave wouldn't really have been close enough to where you're sitting to really interrupt the stuff like you want it to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I figured out that because the brackets had 2 mounting holes on each one where you would screw it into the frame of the panel, I was like, let's just get steel cable and cable locks and just hang it. So we hung it like 1.5 feet off the brackets, but we got it working. I mean, it's not like perfectly lined up because we should have. I mean, I didn't really want to spend too much money. If we had a laser level, we could have been a little better, but like it looks fine. It works fine. I mean, honestly, it works really well. And what I do know is I was happy about this is I learned this from experience in the past. I made sure to like check the data sheets of everything we were buying to make sure that like it was the right sized thing, like the cable and the anchor or the cable locks, and the cutters that we bought were strong enough to cut the diameter of cable we're getting. The bits we needed. We got a stud finder. It didn't fucking work. We hit studs and it said nothing was there. So I guess European stud finders are bad. I don't know.
There's no studs in Europe.
There are, but to be honest with you, we got it working. It was so hot, man. And the studio doesn't have air conditioning. And so, because it's like an old carriage house that's been converted. And so it was like 88, 89 Fahrenheit.
Ugh. And that's where he's going to be recording?
Well, it was much hotter inside than that, but that's very, very rare for the Netherlands. That's very rare. Even in the peak of summer, that's very hot.
We'll see in 10 years what's rare in the Netherlands, though.
No, I mean, it's the same way in Europe, man. Or in the United Kingdom, it didn't used to get this hot. Like I told you that it was 102 or 103 here in 2022, and that it had never gotten that hot in this country ever in recorded history. That was the hottest temperature ever recorded in the British Isles. So, yeah, man, I mean, yeah, Europe in general isn't prepared for this. I will say AC is a lot more common now than it used to be. Because, I lived there as a kid 30 years ago, and there basically wasn't any. Trains sometimes had it, and maybe big department stores or government offices might, but it's pretty rare. And so, yeah, we did that, and then we had the show on Saturday night. It was I think we sold 85 tickets. We sold out the room. That's a story in and of itself, in that we showed up at the venue and I guess they made the decision that we were supposed to be in a bigger room, but they were like, it's just been too hot. It's so hot in there. We don't have AC in that room. Mm-hmm. So they put us in a smaller room that had AC, but like they were in the middle of renovating it and redoing their stage. And so at first they were like, yeah, you can't use the stage. And they were going to put us on like platforms in the middle of the floor, but like there's no way it would have fit at all. And I guess I must have communicated something with my eyes, because I wasn't rude at all, that I was like, you really must be joking. And so suddenly the crew there just like went like Dutch Smurfs and just fucking hammered these tiles. And it was just putting adhesive and then locking rubber tiles, but like anti-slip tiles on the stage. Mm-hmm. And got the whole thing built and let us use it. I think they may have splashed some of the adhesive onto the case cover, the cover for my laptop. Because at first I thought like, did like a fan spill a drink on my computer or something? But I realized like it looked like something sticky. It looked like sugary syrup on there. But then I looked at it and like, no, nothing is stuck to this. Like there's something that washes off. This is like kind of corroded the plastic.
Ooh.
So it looks like I sneezed on my computer, but it's actually like it damaged the plastic of the cover. But it's fine. I mean, it was just an Amazon cover that I bought. So it's a...
Oh, okay. So it's not the actual...
Yeah. I learned a long time ago, like don't raw dog it with a laptop if you can avoid it.
Yeah.
Especially in my line of work where you're in dark places with sticky floors and lots of alcoholic drinks and so on and so forth. And so, show went really well. Fans were nice. Had a good time there. And we went to there's this Irish pub that Tom knows, of course, that called the Fiddler in The Hague that serves Guinness, so that's the bar we went to pretty much every night. But I did actually get a chance to link up with a really good friend of mine who I met at Indiana, but she's from Italy, but her dad's Dutch, and so she lives in the Netherlands now. And so I had never met her partner before. So I got to meet him, and the three of us went and got Indonesian food, which is a thing in the Netherlands. They former imperial colonial masters of of Indonesia. And they, in the particular way of Dutch colonialism, they were like, no, we don't want people to learn Dutch because then they'll know what we're saying. So they basically only the absolute colonial elite learned Dutch. So that's why, even though Indonesia is a country of like 250 million people, I think it's like the 4th or 5th most populous country on earth, almost no one speaks Dutch there. But there are a lot of Dutch immigrants, or rather, there are a lot of Indonesian immigrants in the Netherlands. And so that's one of the benefits of the Netherlands is that like their sort of colonial enterprise legacy food is Indonesian food, and it's insanely good. I've been to Indonesia, I've been to Jakarta, and food was incredible there. So I was excited, but yeah, it was off the chain. I was so happy to get to eat it.
The silver linings to colonialism is when they actually do use the spices, or when you bring people over and they use the spices correctly.
So as I understand this, there was a time in the early days of the Dutch East India Company, or Dutch East Indies Company, where they had the European market for spices on lock. And people did use a ton of spices. This was really common. And then it was kind of like a deliberate decision on the part of the sort of aristocracy to make it so that like aristocratic food was bland. And the Brits may have something similar. I don't know. Like there's all these like weird things where it's like, oh, spices are now common people food. So how do we differentiate? Let's make the food bad.
Just go back to the medieval way of cooking things where you shove an entire peacock inside of a wild hog or something like that, you know?
That's more like Roman food. I mean, Middle Ages food is like roast meats, and if you're lucky, and if you're not, it's just like gruel and porridge.
Yeah.
Most people lived on gruel and porridge and really coarse bread and very, very weak alcohol because drinking water was unsafe.
Right. Water will kill you. So here's some beer.
But it's beer that's like 1% alcohol. So it's like, you know, if you drink it your entire life, it's not going to have an effect on you. It's going to be like, it's like kombucha.
I feel like going through life with a very low buzz is probably for the best, especially if I'm Roman, you know.
The Romans, I think the Romans drank water, but I don't know because it's one of the, I mean, obviously they had running water was part of their whole thing. You know, with building aqueducts and whatnot and baths and things like that. I think they drank water, but I don't know. I genuinely don't know. They may also have suffered from the fact that back in those days, like, you know, people may have identified that water was safe to drink if you boiled it, but like boiling water requires so much fuel and effort that, you know, it's not really a thing that you can expect people to do all the time.
Why do that when I have this jug of wine right here?
Yeah. And so, I mean, the Netherlands, it was nice there. I mean, like I had heard about the cycle infrastructure being a thing. Like it's definitely like what they're known for. But it's actually really incredible to see like how integrated it is, how like ubiquitous it is. Everywhere you go, there's like protected cycle lanes. It's kind of amazing. And tons of people ride their bikes. One thing that you'll notice, and I've heard people say this too, is that little kids have a lot more independence there because it's safer for them to do so. I mean, not like little, but like, let's say once they're into double digits.
Yeah, a 10-year-old can wander.
10, 11, 12, 13-year-old kids out riding their bikes on their own or like in groups doing stuff like that. It's just easy for kids to get around and have a kind of normal life. And people are used to seeing kids on their own. And so it's just like a lot of places people don't lock their bikes. Like it's genuinely pretty crazy. Like I was very impressed.
Why steal a bike? Everybody owns a bike. Like I feel like it's, you know, you hit a certain age and the government just gives you a bike.
There are more bikes than people in the Netherlands.
Right. There's no reason to steal a bike unless like your tire is flat, and even then I feel like, you know, you leave a note and be like, hey, I'm sorry.
It's interesting too though, because there are some things that are very different. Like the bars stay open a lot later there than the UK, but like it's very hard to find a corner shop that's open late. Like in the UK, the equivalent sort of area of a city would just have lots of corner shops open, and you just don't see as many. Also, like there's like one kebab shop that'll stay open late. Like, and The Hague is it's like the third or fourth biggest city, I think, and it's the capital. But yeah, it's sleepier than you might expect. But it was beautiful. It's like super Euro vibes, but also like when you squint, it kind of looks like England if England wasn't completely run down. The architecture, I mean, the layout is similar. The lay of the land is similar. It is obviously flatter there. And like in The Hague, there's a lot of Art Deco buildings. And there's also a lot of like what they would call gingerbread Victorian houses, like this specific style of Victorian architecture you see. But like, I don't know, man, I've been to Brussels recently and The Hague and Rotterdam seemed like way nicer Belgium. So also, I mean, I'll be real with you, dude. I had to practice Dutch a little bit in the sense that like some of the older guys who work in like kebab shops and stuff don't speak English. They just speak they speak Dutch to whatever level they speak it, and then they speak their native language. And so I had to practice Dutch a little bit. But by and large, anywhere you go where it's not that situation I just described, everyone speaks English.
Oh, that's good.
Very well.
Dutch also seems to have a English with a head injury kind of thing. You know, like after Joe moved to the Netherlands and would just tell us what different words meant. And it sounded like wirelessy is wireless or something, you know,
yeah, I mean, like, it's interesting because for me, I speak German. And so the spelling, when I see it written a lot, not always, because sometimes it's very different, but a lot of times I can recognize it from German because it's spelled and pronounced very differently, but it's a similar word. Like, I think one that's problematic and uncomfortable to some extent for American English speakers is that when you tell someone in German, like, look at something, you can say, like, schau mal, guck mal. Gucken is like, I believe is like to look at. It would be how you translate that verb. But like as a kid, they tell you like, guck mal, like, look at this. And the Dutch word for that has probably the same Germanic root. And so it'll say, but it's, look at this thing or whatever, but it's spelled K-I-J-K and it is pronounced kijk. Mm-hmm. So it's a little uncomfortable, but like obviously the I-J sound in Dutch is I, is pronounced like that. So like the place, remember where people do the Ruck March at Nijmegen, it would be, I think it's Nijmegen, or you may not even pronounce the last N because there's some interesting things in Dutch where like it does not correspond to what you think it would be. Like the word for good morning is just, it looks like good morning, like a combination of English and German. It's G-O-E-D-E and then M-O-R-G-E-N. So Morgen is morning in German, and G-O-E-D-E looks like good in English spelled in like the 14th century. However, it is pronounced Goedemorgen. So yeah, throws you off a little bit. But like I said, I feel like if I had to stay there, I would absolutely figure it out because knowing German and knowing English, like,
yeah, you're probably going to be able to get by. Well, as for me, Nate, I've reached a new milestone in being middle-aged.
Okay.
I have high cholesterol, so...
Oh, no. So what do you got to do?
I don't know. I just got the results today. And my doctor was like, the last time, she's like, it's a little high. We'll see where it's at now, and we'll see if we have to do. It's like right over, like, I think 200 is where is what's considered high, and I'm right. I'm at like 206 or so. So I don't know. It's probably going to be a lot of eating fiber, and like I don't eat red meat. I don't really drink anymore. I try to eat healthy, so I don't know. I'll have to ask my dad if this is like one of those things that just kind of runs in the family where like you just got to take another fucking pill. But I would like to try to get it down naturally, but I don't know if that's possible at this age. Like I'm 41. I'm not young and spry anymore. But I will also say that we had to have a discussion with my daughter because one of the things that I got her as she was turning 9 is I got her a multi-tool that had her name on it. Like, you can buy those goofy little personalized license plates that have your name on it and everything. So we came across a place that was selling little pocket knives with names on it. And I said, all right, you're almost 9. I feel like you're responsible enough. We can have these discussions about having a multi-tool. And she really enjoyed it. She loves having, that's got screwdriver. Like her big thing is she loves screwdrivers. She likes to, she's in that stage where she likes to take things apart. So like,
yeah.
The last time we were at the secondhand store, we bought her an old clock radio. It's like, yeah, take it apart. We told her if like we find an old VCR for $5, we'll bring it home and just, take it apart if you want. But
I feel like the Goodwill store would be a great place for that too.
Yeah, we are at a place called Savers twice a week because it's right next to where my daughter does dance class. So we drop her off for dance, and then my wife and I go over to Savers. It's like Goodwill, but better organized and a little bit cleaner, and not such quick turnover. The Goodwills here are very interesting. Where like every 7 days they turn everything over, and if they don't sell something in 7 days, it goes to a place we call the bins, which is this big industrial area where they just bring out these big wheelie bins of everything that didn't sell over the last week. And they're just like, you can buy shit by the pound. You can buy books by the inch, like how big they are. And if they don't get bought, they just get tossed. So Savers is a little bit nicer. And so we're there all the time, and there's always cheap electronics there. But so she's going to camp right now, and she took the multi-tool to her science center camp. And like the thing is that I see, okay, so she took her multi-tool to camp, something we told her not to do. Like, look, this is an at-home thing. Don't take it around with you. But she took it with her, and I guess one of the counselors found it or something. She brought it out or something. And, we call it a multi-tool, but what everybody there was like, oh, a kid showed up with a knife, and she didn't get really into trouble because all the counselors know her and they know like, oh, well, this one's not, she's not a threat, like she's not somebody who's going to pull out a knife and start stabbing people. And also like, this is, we're talking about a 2-inch pocket knife or a 3-inch.
Yeah, but she's 8 too, so yeah.
She's not, 9 now, but yeah, and that's like I had to have that explanation with her. It's just like, look, it is a multi-tool, and 100%, like I trust you. Like I've taught her, do the knife away from you. If you want to whittle, go outside, find a branch and cut it down. That's all the shit that I did when I had my first pocket knife when I was a kid too, right? Like you gotta learn how to handle it. You gotta cut yourself once or twice to understand what you're doing, and then you move on, and then you know how to use a multi-tool. But it's like, look, you can't take these things. You can't take something like this because to the science center, because somebody is going to be like, oh god, a kid brought a knife to the camp, and it's going to be a whole problem. Especially nowadays, like you can't. Maybe when we were in grade school, you could get away with it, but not anymore, I guess. So I had to have that conversation of like, look, I'm, and what, one thing that we always try to let her know, like we're never super mad about what, if she does something she's not supposed to do, right? She's got impulse control problems like any fucking child does, especially kids with ADHD. So, she's got those issues, and like you need to listen to us, but also like trying to tell her is like, look, it's not, those people are upset about it, and I'm telling you why they're upset about it. Just like how I don't want you to swear in front of other people, but I don't care if you say shit in front of me. I find it funny when she curses because she's such a goody two shoes, and every once in a while she lets one slip. So it's having to just have that conversation of like, look, you can't do that. You can't take this in, or if you are going to take a multi-tool, it has to not have a knife on it.
Exactly.
I have like probably 8 or 9 pocket knives of various sizes and shapes floating around because I always need a knife at some point to cut open a thing, and I have a terrible habit of not putting things where I can find them later. Like I'm constantly, when I'm working on any of my art projects in the basement, I will like have my box cutter that I'm using, and then I'll put it down for 30 seconds, and then I'll say, shit, where's my box cutter? And have to spend 5 minutes looking for it because I do not have object permanence when I put something down unless I look directly at it and say, that's where I'm putting that.
I know the feeling, yeah.
Right. So like, it's, as I told her, it's like, look, we got them all. I know I have them all over the place. And she it's not like I'm leaving guns around. The guns are all in the safe. So she has an understanding of it, but you have to have that conversation of don't take it out where the normies are going to see it because somebody's going to have a problem with that. I had my first pocket knife when I was like 6 or 7. So,
but it's funny because you kind of jogged my memory, and a memory has surfaced. So I got my first pocket knife when I was the same age as her, basically, or right about. I was almost 9 when I was in Cub Scouts, and because I got a Cub Scout uniform and I got a Cub Scout pocket knife or something, or maybe I just got a Swiss Army knife. I think my parents had let my brother have one, and in fairness, my brother, I think, was a little bit less impulsive than me when it came to dangerous stuff, so they didn't really mind him having one. But obviously, like me, I desperately wanted to have one, and I think they said like, okay, when you turn 9, you can have one. So one of the first things I did was test out the blade by cutting it against the lining of a tent.
Sure.
And just split it the fuck open.
Mm-hmm.
And then realizing what had gone wrong in extremely 9-year-old fashion, I was like, oh no, well, I can run away from home. And so I started walking, and then about 5 minutes later, I reconsidered and went back and told them what had happened. And, they took it away, but they were like, okay, well, you told us, et cetera. Didn't tell them about the thinking about running away from home part. It helped that we lived in the middle of the desert in New Mexico, so there wasn't really anywhere to go. Also, I think I tried to run away from home while I was like excitedly dressed in my Cub Scout uniform, so every single person who saw me would be like, what's up with this child? I would not have been inconspicuous at all.
Uniformed child running away from home.
Yeah, and so I can relate, but yeah, I think times have changed too in terms of like being allowed to have it, and that you wouldn't be able to have a blade on it. It's one of those things where, I mean, I get it, but also like, it has to be a blanket policy for them for like safeguarding and things like that. And that's just the way it works.
Absolutely. And she has had other impulse control issues with it. Like, telling her, look, if you want to do whittling, take it outside. I'll go sit outside with you. We got plenty of sticks that you can cut up or whatever, or go into the big flower, our flowering bird area that we have and cut something down and cut that up if you want. But at one point we found she had taken candles that are made out of wax, but they're electric candles. So it gives you that feel of a wax candle, but you don't actually have to light something. and deal
Yeah,
with.
you told me about her whittling it last week.
Yeah, she
whittling
whittled
it
all that down.
into a basically snowstorm of candle shavings all over her bed and bedroom and so on and so forth.
Exactly. So we made her clean all that up too.
How did that go?
She understood. Like the thing is that sometimes with her, like we told her don't take the multi-tool to camp, right? And in a perfect world, a kid will hear, yes, parents said don't do this, got it, I won't do that. But a lot of times with her, you have to give her like, this is why I'm telling you not to do this. And it's a mixture of, I want you to have an understanding of what's going on, but also I want you to understand that if you do this, you will get into more trouble and not with me. You know, had we explained, like, don't take it to camp because people will freak out because they're not going to see, I'm bringing this thing that has a screwdriver and a nail file and a bottle opener. They're just going to see knife. And people are going to have a problem with that. So had we probably explained it a little bit better that like, look, people are going to freak out if you bring a knife, then maybe things would have gone a little bit better. But so we're discovering that, you know, as part of, I don't know, maybe her ADHD, maybe part of her being on the spectrum, it's like you have to be like, look, I need you to, one, look me in the eye and listen to me. So it's how I know that you are taking in the things that I'm saying. And then secondly, explain to you why this is a problem, because if you do this, it's going to be a bigger problem later. So the cleaning up was no issue because she understood, like, yes, this is a problem and I need to be a part of taking care of this. And I mean, Nate, you're going to, fingers crossed you get one of those unicorn children that's just like, no, I love being organized and eating fruits and vegetables. Like they're not often. They are rare, but they do happen. I've met those kids and I'm insanely jealous of the parents who have them. Like watching a kid eat like an entire red pepper like it was an apple one time. It's like, fuck, I wish I could get my kid to do something like that.
I mean, eating a red pepper like an apple is a bit much. I had a friend in elementary school in Germany who did that, and I was like, maybe I could do it too, and I couldn't even get through the first bite.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I didn't like peppers, it's just eating a raw pepper.
Yeah, you gotta have a little dip for it, a little hummus maybe, give it a little flavor.
Yeah. But I mean, my friend, I think it was like her parents were kind of like into healthy eating, and so she'd been eating stuff like that her entire life, so it was normal. And I suppose the weirdness of the texture and like the freshness and the crispiness of it, like if you had been doing that since you'd, you know, been conscious of eating solid food, you know, from like 3 or 4 on, it would make sense why, yeah, that would just be normal to you.
Yeah, well, look, my kid was a connoisseur of food up until she hit about like maybe about 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, when she could suddenly have opinions about what she was eating. Because she ate escargot one time. She just straight up stole a bunch of snails from me. We used to love giving her like pickle spears because she would take him in her chubby, like one in each hand, and then take a bite, and then would make a face like she was being electrocuted. Like when kids, like, you know, it's a dill pickle. There's a lot of flavor to that, and like a kid who is like 18 months old who is still discovering like, oh, flavors and textures and feelings and everything, and then to bite the pickle and then just give this look of just like, oh, that's huge, okay, time for another bite. And she would house an entire pickle spear doing that the entire time. Now she eats 7 things and that's it.
Yeah, my daughter is pretty adventurous with food. The day I got back on Monday, and it was just kind of a nightmare. I was exhausted because I think because the weather had cooled off, they had it set so like it seemed the air conditioning like wasn't on in my room in the hotel. I couldn't get it to turn on. Couldn't even get the fan to turn on. And so I just opened the window, which was fine. It was, you know, it ventilated it fine, but it's a airport motel next to an airport with a bunch of grass fields and a bunch of trees and a bunch of green area around it. You can imagine what's going to happen next. Continental European mosquitoes, the thing you don't really have in Britain. We have mosquitoes, but they don't really bite that much, whereas I was awoken by the familiar whine noise of a mosquito trying to bite me, and it woke me up. I managed to kill it, but it woke me up, and then I couldn't get back to sleep. So I went up getting like under 4 hours of sleep that night. So I was exhausted when we got home. And so Cynthia and I took our daughter, we picked her up from nursery and then went to the grocery store. And then we said, let's go to like there's a food market where there's just like stalls where restaurants are. Mm-hmm. And there was a Peruvian place, and we're like, let's just eat here. And so we got Peruvian fish and chips, which was, breaded and fried fish, and fried cassava wedges. And she liked cassava. I was really happy. I was like, oh yeah, it's a good starch right there. But she's good with foods like that, relatively bland. She's good. She loves spicy stuff, or like relatively, like flavorful, spicy kind of thing, spiced stuff. Here and there, there's foods she doesn't seem to like too much, but by and large, I mean, as far as babies go, she's pretty adventurous as an eater.
Mine has gone full European, hates any kind of spice, any kind of like, her favorite drink is water, like water with ice in it.
My daughter's favorite drink is water. I swear her favorite people food, like non-formula baby food, is water. And she gets very angry when she finishes her meal and if she doesn't get a cup of water.
Good.
So
Good.
She's crawling.
Good
a ton
hydration
now.
there.
I'll send you the video later, but she fully is crawling to the point where like she crawled out of her room today. Cynthia and I were watching, and she basically came into the hallway and started crawling towards me and stuff. So she's fully like on the move now.
She has hands and knees crawling?
Yeah, and she's standing too. Like as long as she has stuff to hold on to, she'll stand. And
you got all those bookshelves anchored, right?
Well, that's the thing. We're getting rid of a lot of stuff, but the things that we are using at the house, I'm already buying anchor like right angle brackets and the stuff I'll need to install it when we eventually get to our place.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you too. She freaked me out because she tried to flip off the couch again, and I caught her in the act of doing it, but she bumped her head against the flat side of like the end table, so it was fine. She wasn't hurt or anything, but she was angry with me, and I was just like, man, you really are trying to like. I think she was going after a toy that had fallen, but I'm just like, why are you always trying to flop yourself off this couch?
What are you heading for here?
So our old game that was working for a while there, where I would place her on the couch and kind of build a fort of stuff around her and give her some toys, but then play music for her. That's done because she's just gotten too fast, too mobile and too fast, and she will roll too close to the edge or crawl to the edge and try to like, sit too close. And if she flops, then she's going over. And so last night we tried something new where I sat her on my lap and we played piano together, and that was fun. But she got impatient pretty fast. And Cynthia got her a like baby standing trainer thing, which is like, it's like a fake baby synthesizer keyboard with like lots of faders and sliders that don't do anything, but you can play like a piano.
Fisher Price DJ set.
Well, here's the funny thing. It's like you can switch between voices and you can have a piano sound, but it's got more keys than the Play Gym piano, so more notes.
Can you actually learn on it?
No, because none of it's color coded, and basically it'll play a note, but then if you let it go and don't play another note after it does the note, it also says the color, says the recording of the color.
Okay.
There's a middle mode that's like songs, like it has like animal songs and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third mode is piano mode again, except it's like a horrible chorusy sort of like early 2010s EDM style synthesizer voice, which is very funny because it just sounds like, and it has a lot of built-in demo songs that aren't bad, but they're weird. Like there's a band that was on DFA Records in the 2010s called Yacht. They were from Portland, I think. And one of the songs on this baby toy sounds almost identical to my ears to one of their singles. So the song is called Second Summer and the band is called Yacht, like the boat. And the reason I bring it up is if you want to take a listen, you'll hear the bleepy bloopy synthesizer sounds and the voice, the sort of singing cadence top line. Imagine a baby song on a baby toy, but that sounds like that. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. It's a unique choice. But yeah, she's talking more, mimicking sounds more. She'll if I draw out sounds, like I said last week, like she'll do more of it, like kind of mimicking me. She's saying mama now to her mom, so it's nice. She's got like a lot more personality. We were making plans for me to come back to handle the move, and she is gonna have her first birthday right before then.
Oh, nice.
Which is crazy to me that a year has gone by.
I know, like that is quick. That is, and
it's
that's,
like she's.
Let me tell you, that's how it's always going to be at this point. Like especially now that you're beyond like that beautiful age of having a baby, where you put the baby down, and you know that if you turn around for like a minute and turn back, the baby will still be there. And now that's gone because the baby's got baby stuff to do, got baby business to go about.
Oh boy, is it ever gone! Believe me, I have identified this. And one thing that I find funny too is I noticed it as well that. When we first started her at nursery, the previous youngest there was a little boy who has very bright red hair. And so the two of them got to have sort of redhead solidarity. And I see him and he recognizes me. So he always says hi, but he's like talking now. I mean, little bits here and there, but he's talking and he's probably getting close. He's probably 15, 16 months now. He's standing. He's just fully standing, walking around now. Whereas when we first started, he was crawling quite a bit. I'd see him on hands and knees crawling a lot, but he wasn't walking. So you can see both the milestones for her, but then also for all of her playmates at nursery that they're all leveling up too.
Yeah, it's good to have him around a lot of other kids that are doing that. That kind of, you know.
She absolutely sees the other kids doing stuff and then wants to do it. Like when we started her at nursery, she immediately was like, I will not be lying on my back any longer. You will put me in a chair and I will sit up like my friends do. Like, it's wild. I mean, maybe we're kind of interpreting some of her motives here, but like, I swear to you, when she did the seating at the table, even briefly, she hadn't really liked sitting for very long before, and she was perfectly fine lying on her back on a playmat. And then once she was around other kids, suddenly it was like, nope, I'm sitting.
Already being peer pressured, but like I guess in a good way. My kid learned how to talk because she really wanted to talk to other kids, and especially older kids. So like she always had a thing for when she was little like 3-4 years old. She really liked hanging out with older kids, and now as an older kid, she likes hanging out with younger kids. But yeah, her big thrust of I need to learn how to talk was I need to be able to communicate with other people. And her big push of I need to learn how to read is Dad doesn't read me enough books and I want to read more books.
Wow.
So yeah, so like that's her. When she gets mad, when she gets upset about something, she has her mother's kind of temperament where she will get mad and she'll be really hotly mad for about a minute. And then if you give her like 5 minutes to cool off, she's moved on beyond it. Yeah, she's already moved on and she's not mad anymore. So with our kid, she gets mad and she stomps off, and we're like, all right, she stomped off to her room angry at us. We'll go check on her in 5 minutes after she's done 5 minutes of reading. Because even she knows, she's like, look, I just need to sit down and read for a little bit, and then I'll be able to come out and have something to eat and feel normal again. And it's like, that's fine. You know, like if that's what you need. I don't take it personally when you yell at me, because I know, you know, she doesn't yell at other people. She doesn't yell at strangers. She doesn't yell at her grandparents. She yells at us, which is what I would prefer. You know, she feels safe enough to have these opinions around us, or something, I guess. But so she'll get upset, but she knows, like, I just need to go and read a book, and then I'll be fine. She'll cool off, and she'll be able to come out and do whatever it is we're asking her to do. Have something to eat. Like it's a constant battle to get her to eat, probably because of the Vyvanse. I think I forgot to give her Vyvanse one day this week, and she ate like the entire day. Just kind of like ate her whole lunch that I packed for her. My wife took her to dance practice after camp, and they went to Panera in between, ate her whole meal there. Like, you know, stuff that she does not do. She does not sit down and eat a whole bunch. Even since birth, this child has been like, has you know, oh, I'm going to nurse until I'm no longer hungry, and now I'm bored with this and I don't want to do it anymore. And it's like, no, you need to eat more because you are too small and skinny.
Yeah.
So with her, we had to do formula mixed with breast milk to make sure that she was getting the calories that she needed, because she was at the time not. You know, if this was 200 years ago, my kid would not have survived the first couple of months. But thankfully, we have formula, and we have doctors, and we have things that help you make sure that your kids stay healthy and alive and don't die before the age of 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think about it for us that I think our daughter, she was pretty good. I mean, she's definitely a good eater, but I don't know how it's going to be. I mean, like, there are times when you're like, I know you're going to be hungry and I'm going to have to give you a bottle, and I wish you would eat this food, but instead you're just going to play with it. Or what she thinks is hilarious, you give it to her and she immediately just picks it up and then does this dramatic handhold with it out. And then drops it on the floor.
Yeah, testing gravity.
She's done this to me too, where she doesn't like having the sun in her face, but she likes slouching in her stroller. And I can't get her to sit all the way up where the sunshade will cover her eyes. So I try to get her to move. She won't. So we try putting a hat on her. Hell no. And it's funny because I thought I had gotten the hat in a position, and she seemed kind of sleepy anyway, where it was like comfortable and it wasn't too tight and it was in the right place. And then we started walking. And like, we gotten maybe 10 paces, and then I see little baby hand reach out from the stroller and very dramatically do the handhold first, and then hold it laterally, then just try to drop it onto the pavement. I'm just like, I see it doesn't meet your exacting standards.
Mine has the same thing with hats. It's impossible to get her. We finally got her comfortable wearing bucket hats, but it's always a struggle. and she doesn't like to wear hats, and she doesn't like to wear sunglasses, but she seems to be okay in the sun for the most part. Like my wife in direct sunlight, like she hates direct sunlight. It just makes her angry because having to take bright sunlight, not everybody's eyes process that in a great and fun way. So my wife always has to wear sunglasses. So she's always, hats, sunglasses, always has a bunch of pairs of glasses around. And our kid just doesn't really care. So we, try to get her to wear the hat because it's like, look, I don't want you to get sunburned. You're white as the driven snow. Your parents are both European mutts. Like we're all white, man. You got to wear something here, or at least some sunblock. So she seems to be okay with it though.
My daughter has a complexion closer to mine than to Cynthia's. I mean, you can definitely tell that she'll probably be able to tan better than me. Like in Spain, it wasn't an immediate tan, but like she's got some color now. And I can tan too, which is obviously not the same way as like Cynthia goes for a run in direct sunlight and she comes back just like with this excellent tan. That doesn't happen to me. But she definitely has to wear sunscreen. For me, it's funny with the hat thing because like I feel a little goofy wearing a ball cap, but I mean, for me, it's like, it's not even just getting sunburned. It's that like direct sun on you when it's really bright and it's hot, even with sunglasses on, like your head getting sunlight on it it's just like fatiguing. Mm-hmm. It just makes you tired. And like, I don't know, being in the army that long, like I just got used to wearing a hat. So, now I'm like, yeah, hats rule. Like you should wear hats. But my daughter says no. I think she'll change, but it's like, I think it's one of those things where with kids also in general, like a hat is uncomfortable. It's less comfortable than not wearing a hat.
Right.
You learn to not notice it, but I think for them, if they want to wear a hat because they think it looks cool, or like a friend of theirs has a hat and they think they're cool, or they have to wear a hat as far as like a thing for like a big kid thing, like school or summer camp or something, like it becomes a thing they like and then they just get used to it. Mm-hmm. But on their own, it really it depends on how much they notice it. And in her case, I think she's like, no, I just want the sun to go away. And it's like, well, baby, you live in England, so please don't wish for stuff like that because you might get what you wish for.
Right.
You are moving to Switzerland, but we are moving to the part of Switzerland with probably the worst weather relative to the rest of the country. So you could get what you wish for and never see the sun.
Hey, take her to Washington State,
It was funny actually too, because like with the hassle with the flight getting canceled, because I looked, because there's the Eurostar train. It's really expensive, but it stops in Rotterdam. So you could take the train directly from Rotterdam to London. The problem is like, there just aren't enough trains on the line and it's so expensive anyway. It's always so booked in advance. So there simply were no trains, like none, the day, Sunday or Monday. So we could have notionally taken a train to Paris and then gotten on a train there, but none of the regional Dutch trains or Thalys or ICE or any of those things that run from Amsterdam and Rotterdam to Paris had any seats. And like also Eurostar is annoying because you have to basically go through airport security and arrive like an hour before at a minimum, and there's no room. So like it's really crowded. We had luggage with like the merch from the show. So I was just like, you know what? British Airways already booked us for the next morning's flight, so we just went. But I was thinking about it too, like, it's so funny how annoying it was to get there for a flight that is, and I'm not joking, once they get out of the air traffic control area of the departure airport and just into cruising altitude, is 35 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It's 100 miles straight line distance from London to Rotterdam. It's right there.
Yeah, it's like me flying to Kansas City.
Yeah, it's just that the train has to go all along the coast and then go through the Channel Tunnel and stuff. And so the train from Rotterdam, if you don't count the stupid arrive early time and just like the actual departure time, I think it's just a little over 3 hours to London. So it's still good. I would have taken it 10 times out of 10 if it wasn't so insanely expensive and if getting to the train wasn't so annoying, because with the kind of luggage that we had, 2 flight cases that we were checking for the mixer that we got for Joe's studio, and also a travel mixer to make it easier to go to, or a travel flight case to go to the live show, and then like suitcases full of merch. Like if we had to carry all that on our own to the train at the Eurostar platform, it would have been impossible. And so I was just like, you know what, let's just get plane ticket. Like we bought plane tickets and we got business class tickets because it was cheaper to get business class tickets where you get 2 checked bags with your ticket.
Yeah, it's like 60, 70 pounds.
And they can be 32 kilos each, which is a lot. It's like 70 pounds. Whereas if we had got regular tickets, the amount of money we would have paid for the extra checked bag fees would have been more than that. So it worked out great for us, but it was just one of those things where I was just kind of laughing at geography. Like, can't take, like, a bus is 12 hours. The boat is 12 hours. Getting to the boat takes forever. The train would be 3 hours, but the train's completely sold out. The other train is sold out except for trains that would get us to Paris too late to get on the Eurostar. And it's just like, so I guess we just hang out and wait. But it's like, and it's only 100 miles. It's so close.
Going to Kansas City is 250 miles for me, but it's a straight drive across Missouri. You know, London or England is an island, you know, famously. So
it sure is.
So it's probably a lot easier to get on to, like, no matter how many different ways you do it, it's still always going to be faster to jump on an airplane and fly over all the bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, if Eurostar was easier, the thing with Eurostar, and I've talked about this before, is that, like, even before Brexit, it was annoying because Britain never joined the Schengen zone, the common travel area.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had all the sort of like passport control, airport security shit to get in and out. And it's always made me laugh that the only actual, by the definition, high-speed rail in the United Kingdom is the train that takes you out of the United Kingdom. But it is actually high-speed rail. It's just that for however the way that it's structured and the fact that the UK is all about privatized everything, the train is, like, UK trains are expensive to begin with, but Eurostar, unless you book really, really far in advance, is like we were looking at tickets and what was available would have been like £300 per person for a one-way train. And that's more than we paid per person for round trip tickets, business class, on British Airways. And we were flying out of London City, which is kind of the luxury airport in its own right, because it's relatively central to the city. It's a small airport. So, like, it's annoying because, I mean, ecologically, trains far, far better. In terms of just general practicality, like it more. In terms of, like, what was actually going to work for us, there was just no way. And then obviously, like, when you add Britain into the mix, it just becomes annoying. So when we get to Switzerland, that's one thing I'm excited for, is being able to take our daughter on trips and stuff where getting around by train is just easy. And you just walk up to the platform and get on the train when the train's there. And it's just like, cool. All right, I can do that.
There's a train. Amtrak has what's called the Missouri River Runner that runs from St. Louis to Kansas City, and it runs along a lot of the Missouri River itself, goes to Jeff City, hits a lot of really cool spots in Missouri on its way out there. But, like, yeah, it's like $100 a person on one way. And we're going out to Kansas City next month for a dance competition for my daughter, and we always think, like, okay, well, we can do this because where it dumps out in Kansas City, the Amtrak station, is right next to where we're going to be. It's at their Union Station. The dance competition is in the hotels that are out there, but it's just, financially looking at all of it and being like, we have a car, we can just drive over there, and then we'll have a car, and we're not beholden to a train schedule. Like, and I know that's a very American way of thinking about things, but, like, fuck it, I'm so used to being able to, I'm the guy, like, when I would go to a party, I would have to take my car because I need to be able to leave whenever I want. I didn't like jumping into a car with somebody else, like, oh, let's go to this place, like, because then I'm stuck there. I don't have a way out. So I kind of have that with, the idea of going over there with a train. We're not going to have a car to get around and visit. I got a lot of family in Kansas City too, so I don't know. It's one of those things. It's always in the back of our minds. We want to do it to Chicago too, because we've got rail that runs up to Chicago, but it's just so fucking expensive. And
also, Amtrak is just slow. I mean, like, it can be, and invariably, it's always delayed.
Yeah. And there's always a freight train that's got to go instead. And it's like, okay, for me to drive from St. Louis to Kansas City, if we all, grab the snacks that we need beforehand and nobody needs to take a piss in between, I can do that in 3.5 hours, pretty easily, just down Highway 70. But, the train is like 5.5 to 6 hours. And again, it's got to stop at places, and it's, it doesn't go as fast. And I love traveling by rail. I like the idea of I can sit and stare out of a window and not be the one that drives. Yeah. And also I get car sick. Like, I don't feel car sick on trains. I do get car sick in cars though. But again, just, finances of it is just really irritating.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't think I would want to do this just because it's a long It's a very long journey. But if I was going to go, because we realized being there that like it actually would make sense to maybe try to schedule once every couple of months for me and Tom to go to the studio in The Hague with Joe and just record a bunch, because it's just easier and better when we're all in the same place. But looking at it, like I could take the train, but it's not fast. I mean, the train from Geneva, I would have to go from Geneva to Paris, and then from Paris to Rotterdam, and then connect on local trains from Rotterdam to The Hague. That would take about 8 hours. Driving would take about 10 hours if I was lucky. It's a much longer drive because those trains are actually fast. Flying is like an hour and a half, maybe. Like it's a quick flight. So there is that temptation, obviously. But like I wouldn't want to deal with coming back to Britain on the train, because I think I've talked about it before on this show. You have to take the train from Geneva to Paris, change stations in Paris, get on the other train, but get to that second station within at least 60 minutes before departure, so you can get in the stupid queue for Eurostar. And then they basically lock you in. It's really annoying. And it's just like, if it was just a train, like get on the train, you know, like you do anywhere else, fine. But that's simply not the case. And so, yeah, I don't know, man. Also, like I can trade in my American license as long as I can pass a vision test. I trade in my American license in Switzerland and get a Swiss license, and we can get a car if we want to.
They drive on the right side of the road?
Right. Everywhere in Europe drives on the right.
Oh.
The only place that drives on the left is Britain and Ireland. And I don't know if they make them drive on the left in Gibraltar. So like if you cross the border from Spain right into Gibraltar, which is literally on the Iberian Peninsula, if you suddenly have to drive on the other side of the road. I don't think so, but I don't know.
Right, just swerve to the other side.
So I think either Sweden or Norway used to drive on the left, but they switched over in like the early 20th century. So yeah, I don't know, man. So we're looking at getting a car. So that's a whole new dimension of like, what if we're gonna get a car? What kind of car are we gonna get? You know, like,
yeah, that's fun. You guys, there's all kinds of different cars that you guys get over there that we don't get. You can get a Hilux.
I can, but I was actually thinking I'm not gonna get a pickup truck for damn sure.
No,
I'm actually looking at, depending on cost and size and parking spaces, either getting like a hatchback or a station wagon, depending on how much space there is. And obviously European cars, like a lot of the European brands, you know, are more or less the same platform. Like I'm pretty sure the Spanish car company Seat and the Czech car company Skoda, they all use the Volkswagen chassis. I think it's just, slightly different stylings. And then obviously you have the big French car companies too, like Peugeot, Renault, and Citroën. And so like, we'll see. I mean, whenever I look on Swiss car ads, I always like filter out Mercedes and Ferrari and Porsche and stuff like that. I don't need any of that shit. I wouldn't, even the little Mercedes, they're just too nice on the interior when you're going to have a toddler.
Yeah, no, you need a used station wagon that the kid can fuck the back up in.
Because honestly, like the Mercedes A180 is sick as hell, but like the new Mercedes design for interiors looks like the interior of a 1920s Zeppelin. And it's almost always leather and is too nice. And it's like, we're going to have a little kid. Like, no.
You're going to get whatever the Swiss equivalent of Cheerios is ground into the back.
Yeah, Swiss equivalent of Lunchables all over it. Yeah, exactly.
You're going to be a baguette stuffed in between there that you're not going to find for 6 months.
Well, it was funny because we were looking at it and Cynthia was like, yeah, I'd really love to visit the Italian part of Switzerland, but honestly, the train is long and it's typically very crowded. So that's a thing where it might make sense to drive. And then looking at the routes, you can either drive all the way up through Switzerland and down, or you can go around into France, into Italy, and then back up from Milan. And she was like, well, yeah, we could even like maybe make a stopover and just like go to Milan and, and park and then get around a bit and then continue on. And I just like my life flashed before my eyes thinking about driving in Italy, driving in a city in Italy. And it's like, no, I'm not prepared.
Just get yourself a little the little scooter from Grand Theft Auto and just go cha.
No, well, in Grand Theft Auto, they basically gave the name of the scooter, made it a homophobic slur, if you remember correctly. It was called the Faggio, but it's meant to be a Vespa, obvious. Yeah.
You could drive around. You could say you could be like the Italian Prime Minister and go visit your mistress on your Vespa.
That was the French. That was the French president. That was Francois Hollande while he was the president of France. He did exactly this. In Italy, they probably wouldn't. It happened so often they wouldn't even have remarked that it was him driving his scooter in the street. Do we have an Ask a Dad question?
We do. So this one comes from Robin. This was sent to us via Patreon. So if you are a member of our Patreon, you will be in our Discord. You will have access to our Discord that we share with Lions Led by Donkeys, but also you can send us your Ask a Dad questions directly there. So Robin says, at 37, I just did the math to see what my pension would be at 68. Earn double the medium salary. So it's basically, it comes down to, so as older millennials yourselves, how do you imagine, conceive of, or visualize your retirement panning out? And are you actively planning for it? Personally, I have a 401k because I have a corporate job. And we also, I have shares in the stock as well. So that there's that, fingers crossed that my company, doesn't collapse in the next 40 to 50 years. But that's what I've got. I actually have a retirement plan kind of going, but I know you're kind of freewheeling it there. So what are you going to do when you're too old to podcast?
So I don't have a 401k anymore because for the 2 years that I worked a job that had 401k contributions, I saved all that and then cashed it out to use as moving expenses, and it's already been extinguished. It's already been expended because the move is going to be so much money. However, I have a Roth IRA. I can't contribute to it anymore because I don't pay U.S. taxes because I don't earn enough overseas. I pay taxes on what I pay overseas, and I don't pay enough. I don't earn enough to qualify for where you suddenly have to start paying income tax over a certain threshold if you're American. But when I was in the Army, I maxed out my Roth IRA every year. So basically, I think there were like 8 calendar years or 10 calendar years that I think I maxed it out. So, I mean, it's not a huge amount of money. It's not enough to live on, even if I wait until the entire, time has gone by. But I think doing the math, Cynthia's done pension contributions in the UK, and I think she's going to roll those over into Switzerland. When I set up my business in Switzerland, I'm going to contribute to pension fund stuff, like what exists there. Because if there is a state pension there, it's probably heavily tied into workplace contributions and stuff too. Because a lot of stuff is sort of public-private there. Mm-hmm. My retirement is going to be basically a combination of VA disability, bare minimum Social Security, because of how I met the requirements to qualify for Social Security, but just barely. Mm-hmm. And according to the Social Security website, since I haven't contributed, if I'm not contributing anything more, by the time I retire, if I retired when I was 68, I could expect a whopping $1,100 a month.
It all adds up eventually,
That's not enough to live on, considering that's not enough to live on barely now. Certainly with a family, 1,100 isn't enough to live on. I mean, I think that would put you, if you're a family of 3 and you were making that much, that would put you below the federal poverty line. But I basically...
Sure, but it's you're going to have a stack on stack, though. You're going to have that, you've got...
Yeah, so VA disability, Social Security, whatever the Roth IRA is when I do retire, whatever it's grown to, whatever our Swiss pensions are. And then really the long-term goal is to save up enough money to try to buy a place outside of Geneva, somewhere in Switzerland near to wherever our daughter winds up if she stays in Switzerland. And so either in the Italian part or one of the more rural parts of the French part. And there, in places like that, houses are actually reasonably priced. Mm-hmm. They're not in Geneva, and that's why basically very few people, relatively speaking, own. And so that's the plan, I think, is to try to get housing locked down for retirement somewhere there where we own a place, and then, like you said, the kind of layered on contributions of the U.S., the Social Security, VA disability, and Roth IRA, and put that all together. And hopefully that's enough to live on. We'll see. And then if I can, in enough time, I'm almost 40. If I work, 25 years in Switzerland or whatever, and, make pension contributions, I presume that I'll have at least something. I'll meet the minimum requirements. I don't know though, but I know that we won't have nothing. It's just more honestly, dude, I it's so hard to visualize because it just feels like so many other things are always up in the air at all times. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't tell you, but how old will we be when we retire? I have no idea.
Right. Or am I going to, I don't know if obviously I'm going to retire from my actual IT job at some point in time, but I don't think I'm ever going to have a time where I'm not working on something, I guess.
Yeah. And I think about it too. That's it's close, but it's not. I'm about to turn 40. When I'm 70, I presume I'll be retired because I'll be the same age my parents are now. That's the same amount of distance between now and when I turn 10. when I turned 10, the O.J. Simpson trial was going on, and I was very excited to get Mortal Kombat 2 on Game Boy. You think about how long ago that was. This was it was almost, it was very rare for people to have internet at home that had web access. It was just stuff like AOL and CompuServe and Prodigy. Like, that's how long ago it was. So, like, yes, it's close. It's also not close at all. And so I genuinely have no idea. I just know that I've always been somebody who is a little bit wary about money, and I tend to, save more than I like save a lot of what I earn, like probably a larger percent than even like financial planners would tell you to, just because I'm a little bit untrustworthy of what might happen. So I think we'll be okay.
Well, you can be like me and just have a shitload of debt. So
I don't have any debt. That's one thing that's going for me. But I also, like, I'm about to have a lot more expenses moving to a much more expensive city, so a much more expensive country. Yep. So anyway, I know we got to run, Francis, so I figured you probably want to wrap up.
Yeah. As always, thank you for spending some time with me here. We'll see once you start getting into the move, what our schedules will be. But I'm looking forward to you having a whole new chapter of your life, and you having a 1-year-old and everything, and how everything's going to shake out from there. So, if you were listening, thank you for listening. You can always get more of this from us. If you go to patreon.com/hellofaWayToDie, you get almost 8 years of back catalog stuff. November is going to be 8 years for us. So
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think I'm about to have a 1-year-old, but it's even crazier to think we've been doing the show for 8 years.
Yeah, it's been going a while, and people still listen, and we still get lots of comments and questions, and we have a great community. So if you're not part of that and you wish to be, you can do that. Like I said, the Discord is shared with Lions Led by Donkeys. Any amount of money that you give us on the Patreon gets you in there. We just have to have some kind of barrier to entry there. So, but all of that is available to you. And as always, thank you so much for listening. Nate, thank you for joining me again today, and we'll talk to you next week.
Have a good one.